entitled Space Jugglers. It's on our fourth record, and it's actually a song that I wrote for Steve's class when I was a student here. If you can pick the standard that it was based off of,
You get a CD.
you'll get a CD.
Yeah.
No. Okay, never mind.
The chords don't really have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I took a lot of liberties on that song.
It's in the same.
Oh,
Steve,
no,
you
it's
missed
not-
it, but this, yeah, go ahead.
I was telling them that I wrote that song in the composition class.
Oh, my God.
And the assignment was to write a song based on the harmonic changes of the standard. And originally it was over the changes, but I just put different changes on the A section. But it's loosely based off of, what's this thing called, Love? Very loosely.
I always wondered how you derive the changes that you have now from what is this thing called love.
Yeah. I wonder how you passed the class.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, it's not really that song. Kind of is. Not, well, it's a bridge. But yeah, I think the song I put the regular changes in, and then instead of ending in C major, ended on C7. So I kind of had some 2/5 arrangements of the F minor, and made my way into to the C7 part. So, like I said, a lot of harmonic liberties with that one.
I was thinking that the melody kind of sounded like that too, and it goes like.
The Don Gorlick, his name? Don Gorlick?
Doug Roman?
Nothing
Yeah.
personal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds a little bit like it,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the melody?
Yeah.
I like the thing you did with the snare drum. I remember a long time ago, Paul Thibodeau did that. You know, he put a hi-hat on the snare drum. Kind of
Nice. He learned that from me.
electronic sound.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
What's that on there?
What was on it?
He had
Oh,
it on and he took it off, but it kind of gives it like that sort of drum and bass
Yeah.
kind of sound, you know.
Yeah, what is the evolution on that?
Huh? I was just playing like this at the beginning. That's cool. Take it off.
Yeah. No, I like that. I was wondering why people do that, you know, we're so ingrained in the traditional sounds of all the instruments that it
Yeah.
sounds really cool to play it the same way we used to.
Well, lately, I've been doing a lot of stuff. I've been putting like towels on the drums too, for different like muffled effects.
Mhm.
I didn't really do that for a long time in the Wii Trio.
You always have different things you're doing.
Really?
Right, you're playing your
Car
all the
keys,
time.
you do a thing.
Oh, car keys,
Car keys
yeah.
all the time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice because you never know what kind of drums you're gonna get
Mhm.
when you're on the road and shit. So you might get really crappy drums, and then you can do different things to them that might make them sound better to your ears.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about crappy basses on the road? You probably have to, now you can't travel with your bass anymore,
Can't
right?
travel with your bass.
So how do you deal with that as a bass player?
If you're in New Orleans, you can use Peter Harris's bass. That's good news.
Use Peter Harris bass.
Peter Harris.
Just like anybody that comes to town.
Yeah.
Here.
I don't tell myself that. Yeah, that's a real struggle all the time. It's like you have to find someone who's willing to let you use their bass or rent a bass, and then it's just a huge.
Well, don't y'all have sort of like a sort of a social network of bass players that kind of like lend each other basses around the world, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, there's nothing formalized. I think that maybe like some people started websites a few years ago, but mostly you just like send emails around to people you know and try and find friends of friends of friends.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just a big range. And a lot of it is like, you're more successful if you just kind of like give up when you get to a certain point, like give up your own sound and like just try and go into the sound of the instrument.
Mhm.
You know, like, should it be that way if you got like a totally different guitar, it's like,
Mhm.
you can only make it sound like you so much, and then
Mhm.
you have to like just accept what it is and, you know, make that a new sound. But that's tough.
Yeah. The same thing with the Vaj.
That's tough.
You just
That's
have
tough
to.
to vibraphone though.
Yeah, it's there's probably about 20 vibe players in the country, so everyone knows each other. So you play, it's like, oh yeah, in LA there's 2 or 3 guys. Just go down the list. Luckily in California, Jared's dad is a percussionist. Does classical percussionist, does a lot of studio work. So he has a whole studio of mouth percussion. There's 2 vibraphones. So when we go to the West Coast, we rent a van or borrow a van and take his vibraphone, his dad's vibraphone. Now that I'm in Nashville, it's pretty centrally located to the Midwest, so I can drive places like to here or to Chicago or Indianapolis. New York, the studio that Jared rehearses at, that he shares with has a vibraphone. So that's, things have kind of just worked out for us.
But you're all in different parts of the country, right?
Only James.
Only James?
James is the only one who moved away.
Oh, okay.
But these guys both live in New York, even though Jared lives in Harlem and Dan lives in Brooklyn. I mean, I probably see Jared as much as Dan does.
Well,
I've been to his house more times.
he lives in town sometimes, yeah.
But are you living in Nashville now?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So how did that work out? Because, you know, James was an alumni of UNO. You guys know that or not, but he spent a lot of time here in New Orleans and decided to move to Nashville. Why?
Well, it's kind of a funny, I guess I'll back up. I came here in 2000, 17 years ago.
Wow.
And worked on my undergrad, and then did my undergrad here for about 2.5, 3 years, and then I moved to LA and did a program out there called the Thelonious Monk Institute, which was coincidentally here for a few years, and then moved back here during the summers, and then moved to New York around 2005 to about 2007, moved back here, finished my master's degree here from 2009 to 2010, and then about 2 years ago moved to Nashville. And it's hard because I want to be honest, but I don't want to feel like I'm bad-mouthing the city though, you know, because I do love New Orleans.
What do you feel you have more opportunities in Nashville?
Yeah, you know, it's more opportunities for.
Come on, James, let it out. You know you want to.
It's kind of more. There's a music industry in Nashville, and New Orleans doesn't really have a music industry. It's more of a service industry. That's music scene. It's kind of playing towards tourists at bars and clubs, and there's never really an industry spotlight. There's a little bit of it, like with Misha and Jay Weigel and them, but it's like for every Jay Weigel, there's about 100 of them in New York or LA.
What do you mean industry spotlight?
Like there's, like as far as like commercial jingles or movies or publishing, like Nashville has publishing companies, they have offices, there's a whole industry on just demoing pop songs. Or some guy paid me to sample vibraphone where I played 3 different tones up there. Just random little music gigs. It's an easy way to make money during the day, I would say, to make money playing music from 9 to 5, as opposed to a city like New Orleans where the money you make is at night. And then there's more national artists based out of Nashville than New Orleans, so I found it pretty easy to just start taking road gigs. When I moved there, I guess within 6 months, I started playing with a singer named BJ Thomas. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he was big in the 60s. Burt Bacharach produced a couple of his records. I guess his first Grammy came from Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, and then Hooked on a Feeling, and then he had some crossover hits. And so we'll do things like, we'll play in Vegas or we'll play at Atlantic City, do some casinos or Branson, Missouri.
And you doing vibraphone or piano?
Keyboards.
Keyboards, okay.
Yeah, it's like a 2-keyboard setup. And there's just kind of random gigs like that out there that are more commercial music. And then also just doing random recording sessions. I think since I moved out there 2 years ago, I've done 12 CDs, been on 12 records in 2 years. So, you know, kind of building up that discography.
There's a pretty strong union here too, right?
Yeah.
You belong to the local musicians?
I don't do the union in Nashville because I don't do union gigs, but there are
The recording industry, does that require you
a lot of the recording industry is non-union. I mean, there is like the union thing of everything that's recorded for major labels and major publishing companies. But for, I guess, the 2 or 3 producers that I work with, they're non-union. So so it's literally just bringing it over to somebody's house and releasing it on iTunes. And a lot of singer-songwriters live in other cities and states, and they'll send the songs to the producer and for a demo, and then the producer will call the musician saying, hey, we want to demo this, can you come over and do this? And then if they like it, and say, hey, can you do this record? We're going to do 3 days here, and then the record, it's weird, it's like the jazz musician model of making a record where it's you kind of spend like $5 or $6 grand, you go to the studio, record it, pay everyone a couple $100 and release it and stuff the CDs under your bed. It's kind of a different model in Nashville. It's more people will spend like 40 or 50,000. They'll spend money on demoing songs. They'll get their
It's for pop records, right? Kind of pop or
yeah. I mean, most of the stuff is kind of country pop, contemporary. There's a big Christian music industry there. There's a lot of Christian publishing companies, like as far as books. The big one is called Lifeway. They print Bibles, and they have a whole Christian music industry where they have publishing, and they have their own studios that they own, and they have their own studio musicians on salary there that they just go in and crank out demos and throw them in the vault, and then when they feel like putting money behind an artist, they'll go in the vault and find some songs. And
were you able to contribute on the writing end, like where you're?
that's a really
hard.
really
That's
tough
where the money
game.
is, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like the
it's where
royalties.
there was a big article about it in the national paper about how there's 90% less songwriters. Publishing companies have they have 90% less songwriters on staff than they did 10 years ago today, because they're finding it easier just to offer a singer-songwriter a record deal and take 5 or 6 of their songs, take the publishing on them. It's funny, when I first moved out there, I met a lot of people that were saying, oh yeah, I got a deal with Sony, or I got a deal with so-and-so. And at first I was thinking, wow, that's cool. They got these big record deals. And then I learned that everyone has a deal with Sony, and what they do is they sign about 50 or 60 people a year. You give them your CD and the rights to your record, your masters, your publishing, and
100% publishing.
most people is 100%.
Wow.
And then they go out and they spend money, and they'll do these club dates and some festival dates, and they'll come out of pocket. They'll rent a tour bus. They spend a lot of money. I mean, they spend a lot of money to do gigs, just so they can have.
Does the artist spend money, right?
Yeah, the artist spending money, just so that they can show Sony that they're making a profit, and they can get signed to another deal. And in the end, they're in the hole hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're just waiting to declare Chapter 13 bankruptcy, Chapter 8. And they're like, well, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna.
Is that just because the artists don't have good representation, or they just sign contracts without knowing what they're doing?
I think it's because the record because I think everyone's trying to be a pro now, and everyone wants a piece of the pie, and record companies can get people for nothing. They can get free songs, they can get free artists, and it's kind of like some of the jazz record deals, like a Fresh Sound, Like, what's their deal that they offer artists?
Usually the deal with Fresh Sound is you bring him your first record complete and done, and he takes all the publishing and owns the masters, and he releases it in Portugal. It's in the CD store in Portugal somewhere. You get some in Spain, I think. And you get some press out of it, and you have a record on Fresh Sound.
But guys like Kurt Rosenwinkel has a Fresh Sound record.
Everyone's got a Fresh Sound record.
Yeah, Bad Plus has a Fresh Sound record.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he gives you some money. He
Well-
gives you a couple grand.
Most people went for the first one. They make it a little bit.
But for
Well,
each
yeah, everyone
singles
gets
that
that.
they're giving up their publishing.
Everyone gets a
Yeah.
different deal, yeah.
Wow.
You make it a little money for your first record, you make it a little more for your second record.
But
yeah,
definitely
he
not,
takes all
definitely not
the-
enough to cover your record.
Yeah, not enough to make the record.
Mhm.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's kind of hard to get that deal too. I'd hardly call it a deal, you know, it's a deal for him,
Yeah.
but it's probably a line of,
So a better route would be for the artists to self-produce their own CD, keep total control of everything.
I would say it's better for the artist to make a CD and not print it.
Yeah, we're having these discussions right now,
Or
actually.
don't print the CD.
We debate this all the time. We actually had this for our last record, there was a label that was interested.
A few?
It's friends of ours, yeah, and they had outlined the terms of the deal, and, you know, it was one of those things where like, we would make less money for sure if we released it on their label, because it'd be a lot like, they were gonna take all the online sales, is that right? Yeah, they were gonna take all the online sales and they were gonna take all the publishing.
Yep, 100%.
100% of publishing. So, but it, you know, it almost seemed like a good deal for us just because then we would have their contacts and like, if they were hustling off their artists, we might benefit from that. It's almost like any community you can get, kind of helps you out. But ultimately we decided not to do it. But there's not, I mean, to be honest,
That's what most record labels are doing right now.
yeah,
The, not including a Blue Note or a, I don't even know who else. But what they'll do is they'll just put it out for you. They'll give you some press. They'll give you a couple hundred copies. Any more copies of the CDs you want, you gotta buy from them. And then I think at that point, we were like, no, that's not a good deal, because we sell a lot of CDs on the road. So once we get rid of our 100 or 150 that they gave us for free, then we'd be just paying for more CDs and making like $1 or a couple bucks on them or whatever, because they, you buy them for $10 or whatever from them.
Yes, I mean, other than selling CDs on the road, is that, I mean, you know, in my day, the whole thing was like, when you put out a record, you have to get distribution.
Yeah.
You know, these big companies, they get it in all of the stores around
Yeah.
the world and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of like gone
Yeah,
by the
that's
wayside.
gone.
Europeans still talk about distribution.
yeah, but I don't know why they're talking about it.
I don't know why
There's no
either,
CD store
but
over there.
apparently it's still part of
Yeah, they're talking
labels.
People don't really buy CDs that often anymore.
Right.
Like realistically,
Yeah,
giving somebody 100% of the online sales is basically your entire profit almost.
Exactly.
has anyone in this room bought a CD in a store in the last 2 years? Wow, you guys win, really? What store did you buy it in?
Yeah, it's fine.
At the Louisiana Music Factory.
Oh, yeah.
I buy stuff used from Amazon.
Yeah, but still not in a store, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, distribution didn't matter, yeah. Where'd you buy your CD?
Music Factory.
That's, wow, you guys got a good store in town, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't have the Tower Records that we used to have in New York anymore.
I don't even know where I go to buy a CD, Barnes and Noble, I guess.
Barnes and Nobles, I mean, there was, after Tower closed, then there was just J&R Music World.
But you sell, when you put out CD, you sell stuff on, like by streaming or by like downloads, right? Like
Yeah, but,
CD,
I mean, to be
CD
like-
or whatever, you know?
I mean, I would say to be brutally honest, like we do okay as a band, we're around, we're very visible. We sell a lot of CDs on the road, we do not sell a lot of CDs online. We have like a steady trickle of income from money online.
Like $50 a month. But, you know, we'll
That's a
play,
good one.
and that's a good month. But we'll play a festival, like we just played a festival in Sacramento where we made, $500, $600.
Yeah, you pretty much only sell it when like people have just heard the show and they're excited.
Right.
They're walking out and the CDs are right there.
And if it's a free concert, like a free festival,
Yeah.
then I think people are more,
Inclined to buy CDs.
There may be some jazz artists that people are buying their records online. Not that many. I'd be really interested.
I remember when there was a clinic here that I saw, and someone was talking about, so someone from Verve was here, and they were talking about Rosenwinkel's record,
Maybe.
The Next Step, and then
Well, he was here, maybe it was maybe that was
they
that
said
same time?
they only sold like 10,000 copies,
Uh-huh.
and that's all that they expected to sell. Wasn't it something like that?
That's a record that like everyone's heard.
Yeah,
You know, like everybody
almost everyone has.
talks about like, oh yeah, that record, you know.
Yeah.
Next Step is a great record.
So now it's like selling CDs as a way of just supporting your activities, you know, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it basically funds the next record. It's all the money that's made on the CDs. now we have enough money to go in the studio and do the next one, you know? Which is good, because I think it's important at the same time to document where you are artistically and to leave behind some sort of legacy in a way. Leave your carbon or your digital footprint, you know?
Yeah, like we couldn't do what we're doing if we didn't make records. You know, like we wouldn't be able to tour, we wouldn't be able to get the gigs that we get if we weren't making records. Plus, yeah, I think we would keep, it keeps us artistically engaged as a band to always have the idea of what the next record is going to be and like how we're going to put this record together. So I think it's really important to do. It's a drag, obviously, that model of making money off records seems like pretty much over and never coming back. But I mean, a lot of people have said this at this point, and like it's really true. It's like that was a very short window of time in the history of music. Like, what, like 1925 maybe? They're like,
It was the 50s. Because before they used to make records and they'd send them to the city to promote they'd send them to the radio stations to promote the gig.
those guys weren't making any money?
It wasn't really until like, what I learned was from like, yeah, the 50s, from like Elvis and
So even if you say 1950 to 2010, it's like 60 years in the history of music. It's like a blip.
because the record used to promote the live gig where musicians would make their money, and then
Yeah.
it flipped,
Yeah.
where musicians were using the live gig to promote the record, and now I think it's
Yeah, it's
flipped
flipped back, yeah. But we still spend the money on the record as if we were going to make a lot of money on the record.
I think the big difference now with technology is it's so easy to copy a CD,
Yeah.
which is, you all do merchandise, like t-shirts right now?
We
It's
used
kind of
to,
hard to duplicate a t-shirt.
Well, we were here, we had t-shirts out our last clinic here. We did t-shirts for a while, and I don't know, maybe do them again. I was always more pro t-shirt than these guys, but I may work on them again. But it's very labor intensive to travel with an inventory of
Right,
t-shirts.
sure.
Because you need like small, medium, large, women's small, medium, and large. And then if you have two designs, suddenly you've got like 12 varieties of shirts. You're after a show, you're
Get lost.
sweaty, you're like digging through the shirts.
Yeah, right.
we have people that want to buy a
Sitting home like
CD.
ironing shirts for the show.
And it's so expensive to print a shirt, you make more money off of a CD than a shirt.
Well, there's other types of merchandise too. Galactic, they got like ashtrays and fly swats, I don't know what they have. Pick it off now.
Ashtrays.
Wow, I think I'm just kind of thinking about it. So when, as a band, as a business, because you all have an LLC as a band, right?
Yeah.
Correct? And then, so do each one of you sort of divide up the different activities that a recording company would have done? Like, do you do the promo, do you do the record production, do you do the finance? How do you all divide up duties as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, we have some like well-divided tasks. Like I'll do most of the promo, I'll do most of the social media. Jared does the finances and the travel. James does the website. And then we'll kind of divide things up. Like as they come up, if we have like a special activity, like when we do a Kickstarter, we'll divide up activities among that. And then often we have like kind of regions of the country that someone will take the lead on. Like if we're going to California, Jared will take the lead. And if he needs help with something, he'll let us know. And then if we're going to the Midwest, I'll take the lead. And if I need help, I'll let the guys know. I mean, we're all pretty engaged in every part of the process, I would say. But there's definitely people who have like the lead role in any given task. It's become more formalized as we go on.
Yeah, and we've been together for 8 to 9 years.
9 years.
And so we've developed,
Right.
you know,
This is not only what you do, this is our most special occasion when you all tour. Right?
Yeah, this is-
How often do you all tour, like
It's a
a
special
given year, for instance? Or how often do you?
a couple months out of the year.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes more.
I mean,
but-
this year it's like 50 shows.
By now? No, not 50. 30.
This year is like,
Who books the band?
All of us.
All of us, yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have any kind of age or anything like that that's trying to, so you just basically go on the phone and call festivals and clubs and,
Mhm.
well, that must be fun.
You learn it's a lot about relationships. It's cold calling is really hard to find a gig doing that, and since there's no IAJ anymore, I think it probably used to be easier back then. Now there's like the JE conference, but I think it's a little more education focused. So a lot of it is getting leads and saying, oh, you guys sounded great. My buddy books the so-and-so festival or so-and-so performing arts center. Let me get you in contact with them. And then you just kind of follow up on that, build a relationship with that person. And sometimes it takes years
Yeah.
to get something like we played Yoshi's and it took about 3 years of emails and calling. Same thing with the Green Mill. It took a couple of years to get a yes from Dave Gimello.
Kennedy Center, right?
But now we play there every year, though.
But yeah,
Oh yeah, Dave would say, hey, these guys are the shit, man. Yeah, they're the shit.
We have a good one to tell you that you probably heard before, but it's not appropriate for.
That was probably inappropriate too, sir.
We got on camera. We don't know who it was. It was an anonymous voice in the back.
Heckler.
He's funny, man. He was there the first time we were there, like, we were driving up from St. Louis. We had one night, Greenville was our first time playing there. We're all nervous to play there.
I
And he
was
was
on the phone.
he was all about the band, man. He was like so excited. He was up cursing on stage and like loving the band. He bought that's when we had all the t-shirts. We had tank tops, we had the whole thing. He bought a tank top for his wife, And then after that, he's been out hunting every time.
Yeah,
like we always go hunting season. He's like,
Hunch Bears was bare hands.
yeah. He's like, you guys are good. You guys are gonna be okay. It's gonna be a good weekend.
Yeah, when I talked
It's
to him on
hunt
the phone, he
season.
was like, well, I haven't heard you before, but tell you what, you do the gig and it's a nice turnout, you'll play again. If not, you'll never work in this town again.
At least he was on.
That was pressure. So we took out a Facebook ad to promote that gig.
Wow.
Turns out we didn't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should turn back to music, man. Does anybody have any musical questions you'd like to?
Yeah, let's talk about music. If you can.
You guys all music majors? Yeah.
You guys all undergrads?
This is the whole student body, right?
Right.
We're having a hard time for it.
Right?
Yeah, I'll play the drums.
Yeah. Remember you from class.
Yeah, that one's fine.
You got more hair now. What's everybody play?
Music.
Drums, music? Okay.
Saxophone.
Saxophone?
Percussion.
Percussion? Like this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Piano.
Man,
Yeah.
Flute. Flute.
Flute. What do you play?
The guitar.
Saxophone.
I have a question for James. I mean, well, all of you obviously, but this is something I wanted to ask Aaron Goldberg, but we kind of ran out of time yesterday, but just in terms of an improvisational question. But, I feel like you and he, I mean, one of the things that I just really like about their playing, when they're playing on standard or whatever, or like It's All Things You Are or something like that, is they think developmentally. Like they stay a theme and they stick to this theme and they just sort of develop it. Whereas, a less experienced player might just be playing from chord to chord, nothing's ever related. And I always felt like that was something that was really impressive about your playing, the fact that you think about that, or is it just something that just comes out?
I try not to think about it,
Mhm.
but sometimes, I'm trying to get to a point where I don't think when I'm playing. And it's just trying to have that out-of-body experience. But sometimes my brain will take over, and I'll start getting in more compositional mode. And it's that famous saying, I don't know who started it, but where composition is improvisation slowed down and vice versa.
Mhm.
Improvisation is the compositional process sped up. So I do kind of think more in thematic, linear way. I try not to, though. I'm trying to semi get out of it and be, because it's weird. On one hand, you have that, and then you also have a whole conversation. So I don't want to abandon the conversation as well.
But I think it helps that we all I think we all do actually think consciously about telling a story rather than just like, chord to chord to chord. I think we all think about that consciously or unconsciously, but we all have the same goal, and that's like to tell a story through a solo or through the tune in a larger sense.
Yeah.
You know, where some people would just come out and blast away and just do their thing. Next. You know?
Yeah.
One thing that helps me is like, if I feel like I'm successful with that, is the idea, because you talk about like not thinking while you're playing, and that's like really important. But the thing that I feel like works to do proactively, at least for me, is like think about listening to yourself. Like you play an idea and you hear it, and then at that point it becomes more organic to lead into the next idea. And then you can keep listening to the band as well. Like you can keep engaged with the band. And, you know, because I feel like when I start playing all the time and get out of the compositional, or get out of the story arc, is when you're thinking about the chords and like almost like not, you are hearing yourself, but you're not listening to yourself. You're like, okay, here's this chord, and I know I'm gonna hit for this note in the next chord, there it is, I got it, and then this is the next one. You know, it's like, you almost don't hear what you're playing. But if you can like take a minute and like listen to yourself and like react to yourself, like that's that idea, and that's where that goes. Because I know I see James doing that, because I can watch James and listen to him. It's like, he'll play something and you can like see that he's hearing it. You can see that he's like listening to it and figuring out what he's gonna do next. Or not figuring out, but like hearing what he's gonna do next. Which is nice as a listener too, because you get a minute to hear the idea. You had a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna, this is like a statement slash question for everyone, but particularly for James, because I love listening to vibraphone players usually, because there's such a strong connection between the harmony and the rhythm for them having like two hands, the mallets, it being a drum, like the piano, but not as similar because you only have two hands or four mallets or whatever you have to deal with. And I love the rhythmic diversity and the rhythmic motifs that you and like Aaron Goldberg deal with in their solos, and it makes this like really logical, I don't know if logical is the right word, but it flows as improvisation. It flows without being too jarry. That's what I really like about drums as well, and about the bass, because the bass is such a rhythmic, it's like a link between the two. Can you guys share any thoughts on what your concepts of rhythm and its importance in improvisation are? Sure.
Well, we've always said like that this is kind of one of the reasons why this is called the Wee Trio, is because we call it like a smaller, more nimble version of a piano trio. So instead of having the piano as a focal instrument, you got the vibes of the marimba, and I think it's obviously it's a closer link to the drums and the bass because it's a rhythmic percussive instrument. So yeah, I mean, and James and I both play each other's instruments, so I think we have a lot of stuff in common. Because I was a pianist first, and I played classical piano and jazz piano for a long time, and James played drums first, and then he moved over, and piano, obviously. But I think it becomes like us two become a very powerful part of this trio, and we like get called out on that aspect of reviews and stuff. So, and Dan is kind of like the anchor, and he anchors it.
I would say it's actually, that's very observant and really an important part of the personality of the trio is that it's all percussion instruments. Like, we had, you guys know who Claire Fisher is? Listen to Claire Fisher. It's a really, really great piano player, like amazing harmonist, for lack of a real word. But amazing guy to check out. And he came to Eastman, where Jared and I were, did a clinic. And someone asked him why he didn't have upright bass in his band, because he always has electric bass in his band. And he had, I think, congas in his band and another percussionist. He's like, I already have like all these percussionists in my band. Like, I don't need another percussion instrument. Like, and he considered upright bass a percussion instrument, which is technically incorrect, kind of like the word harmonist, but it which is that like there's a lot of actual percussion going on in that sound. You know, it's not as if like it was going. That's both softer and like less percussive. When I play jazz bass, there's a lot of percussive sound in it. And so it's like we're all coming at it from that perspective. And I think that's, I mean, to me, that's why I enjoy listening to the group, and why I think the group is interesting, is because like, that's the most alluring part of jazz music to us, I would say. It's like the variety of rhythms and the variety of grooves that we can get. And, you know, everyone's like serious about the melody and serious about the harmony too, but that aspect of it has always been the most important to us.
Yeah, we didn't really demonstrate on that on the last song, but there's a couple songs where Jared and I were improvising. We're literally trying to guess rhythmically what we're playing to match. Like, you know, it's all about the rhythm. You know, the notes don't even matter. I'm trying to think, like, there's a weird love.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you play that number two?
You play that one?
Okay, or Great Love.
Very low.
All right.
Yeah, let's take over jazz school.
Yeah.
Bye.
You guys know the song, There's No Greater Love? Okay. James, you want to explain some right here? Just gonna hear it.
It's from major to minor, but the lyrics still apply.
town, and I know you have a new CD out, and,
Yes, we are playing at Snug Harbor tomorrow night. And Steve's gonna sit in with us on a few songs.
hopefully.
We're promoting a new record. We released our 5th record. We've been around for about 9 years, 2007. Yeah. And this is our 5th record together. It's called We Plus 3. So it's the first time the band has recorded with a 4th member. So we decided to use some friends that were in New York at the time. Nir Felder on guitar, Fabian Amazon on piano, and Nicholas Payton on trumpet. And it's, how much we selling for?
As much as we can get. Me here?
Yeah,
Oh, 10.
the UNO price.
UNO is 10.
UNO price of $10.
Need Steve to play with us? He will do
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, you know, I was thinking that maybe, I need to take a real quick break, because I'm not old. And maybe, I'm gonna run over a couple of tunes with them, because I haven't gotten a chance to run over the tunes. So you guys are welcome to stay, but I don't want to bore you with, like, us rehearsing, but,
Can hear
and
you.
then I have to do this, telephone interview too, which probably won't take, but I have a little time if y'all want to just do it now. You know,
Yeah.
just go with some tunes, you know.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, how about a hand for, yeah.